There has been a massive rise in Indian cinema, especially as of late in the Western culture, right? There's even theaters now where they just play Telugu films, a diversity of people that are enjoying the films. With the rise of the popularity in the Western culture, many of you guys by now may have heard of Nutan. And if you're new on hearing about her, you're about to get to know her in this video. At some point or another, you will hear about Nutan if you're just getting your feet wet into Indian cinema, because many actresses today and even actors have named her as one of their biggest influences. She is a big deal. She has won so many Filmfare Awards, and she has changed and paved the way for so many women, especially in their 40s, to still be working and getting roles, which was not really heard of during her time. But she died really, really young, and she died leaving a lasting impression globally. But unfortunately, there was this thing that plagued her and followed her throughout her whole childhood into adulthood, was her mother's friend calling her ugly, like an ugly child. It scarred her so much that she spent the rest of her life trying to prove these people wrong and making a name of herself. And we're going to get into this video just what happened with those words and how they really triggered her and transformed her into the person that she is today. But before we get into all of that, hey friend, welcome to my channel, Allude, where we deep dive and break down the most iconic stars through history. If you're not yet subscribed, please be sure to do so, and if you're already subscribed, please turn on your notification bell so you never miss an upload. Now, without further ado, let's get into this video. Let's start first with her childhood. And I must say in advance, please forgive me if I mispronounce any names. Obviously, there's a language barrier. But Nutan Samarth, a gem of Indian cinema, was born to a Marathi Hindu family in Bombay on the 4th of June, 1936. As a newborn, Nutan would cry without stopping from 5 in the evening till 5 in the morning. While doctors found nothing wrong with the baby because her parents were really concerned, like, why won't she stop crying? An astrologer apparently told her mother she's a pure soul who didn't want to be reborn. But something was left incomplete. This was revealed by her mother. She was the eldest of 4 kids. Her father, Marcin Samarth, was a director and poet and a pioneer at the films division of India. Her mother, Shobna, was an actress and filmmaker. Nutan's acting genes weren't just from her parents, though. Her maternal grandmother, Ratan Bai, and her aunt, Nalini Jaywant, were also big names in the industry, so she came from film royalty. Growing up, Nutan was often teased for being too thin. In a throwback interview from 1956, she shared a painful childhood memory when a friend of her mom bluntly called her ugly. Even though she didn't fully understand what she said it in front of Nutan. She was having a conversation with Nutan's mother and said, "I must say, you have a very ugly daughter." Ugh, can you believe? When she asked her mom about it, she was deeply hurt by the truth. Nutan went on to say, "But mommy comforted me and said, you should take that as a compliment. An ugly duckling grows into a beautiful swan." End quote. That satisfied me, and whenever anyone remarked on my looks, I would say to them, "Just you wait and see. When I grow up, I shall be as pretty as mommy." I meant it because I believed what my mother had told me. End quote. This was very, very mean, and I must say that is some fighting words. To say that in front of anyone's child, like, I wonder, did the mom still consider this woman a friend? You're not going to scar or traumatize my child, because this really did traumatize her, and we're going to see how that plays out later on in life. She had 2 sisters, Tanuja, who also became an actress, and Shatura, as well as a brother named Jaydeep. Sadly, her parents separated before Jaydeep was born. Nutan's nieces, actresses Kajol, which I did a video for Kajol, and Tanisha Mukherjee, continued the family tradition in acting. Kajol even tied with Nutan's record for most Filmfare Best Actress wins. As a kid, Nutan attended Villa Teresa School and later moved to Baldwin Girls High School in Bangalore. While she loved performing arts, singing and dancing, she also enjoyed arithmetic and geography at school. She even took classical music lessons for 4 years under Prasad. In 1953, after she had already started her film career and faced major weight loss, her mom sent her to Switzerland, a finishing school for further studies. She considered the 1 year spent there as the happiest time of her life. When she came back home a year later, she was healthier, having gained 22 pounds. So she lost a lot of weight. And people speculated that, maybe she wasn't really happy at home, especially with her image. I mean, her mom did allow a friend to say that to her, even though she said her mom comforted her. It's still pretty toxic how your mom allowed that, right? So she just wasn't looking too good, and her mom sent her away to kind of get herself together at a finishing school, and then came back gaining weight. So her image was something that just would follow her for the rest of her life. And if she wasn't looking the part, her family was doing something about it to make sure she looked the part. So there was a lot of emphasis on how she looked. Can you imagine? Now, in terms of her career, Nutan first encountered the glitz and glamour of the silver screen as a child in her father's film, Now Damayanti, in 1945. However, it wasn't until she reached the tender age of 14 that she began carving out a career for herself in the world of cinema. Her debut role was in Hamari Betty, film directed by none other than her talented mother. Despite her early introduction to acting, Nutan had her fair share of doubts and insecurities. She often found herself questioning her looks and abilities, unsure if she had what it took to shine in the limelight. But as fate would have it, her performance in Hamari Betty made everyone sit up and take notice. In a delightful turn of events, those who called her ugly were now singing praises of her talents, with her saying, "The relatives who called me ugly, changing their opinions overnight, they said they were proud of me," end quote. So now we see it wasn't just her mother's friends, but it was her aunts, her, relatives, these people around her played a big role in how she saw herself, which made her have insecurities throughout the rest of her life. And look at her, she's gorgeous, always was gorgeous, even when you look at her childhood photos. So I just don't understand. It's mind-blowing to me. Her next venture was Ravindra Dev's suspense thriller, Nagina, which cemented her place as a rising star in the industry. The film was a roaring success, but Nutan, being just 15 at the time, was too young to attend its premiere, as it was certified A, restricted for adults. Around this time, she also participated in the 1952 Femina Miss India contest and bagged a title. However, her journey was not without its challenges. Due to her frail appearance and weight loss, as we stated, Nutan was sent to Switzerland for further studies. Upon her return, she starred in Seema, a role that won her the prestigious Filmfare Award for Best Actress. This marked the beginning of her ascent to stardom, and by the late 1950s, she was a household name. One of her most memorable roles was in Bimal Roy's social realist film, Bandini. Nutan was pregnant during the filming of this movie. Her performance in Bandini was widely acclaimed, earning her a third Filmfare Award for Best Actress. In 2013, Forbes India listed Nutan's performance in the film as one of the 25 greatest acting performances of Indian cinema. Nutan continued to deliver stellar performances in films like Milan. At the age of 42, she won her 5th Filmfare Award for Best Actress, setting a record in the category. Not only did she break records, but she also broke stereotypes by playing leading roles in her 40s, a feat rarely seen in the industry at that time. Even in the 1980s, Nutan's star power remained undiminished. She delivered hit performances in blockbuster films like Mary Jung, Naam, and Karma. For Mary Jung, she even bagged the Filmfare Award for Best Supporting Actress. Thus, Nutan's illustrious career is a testament to her unparalleled talent and enduring appeal. Now, in terms of her marriage, she was only married one time. Nutan married Indian Navy Lieutenant Commander Rajneesh Bal on October 11, 1959. Their only son, Monish, was born on August 14, 1961, and she never allowed anyone to interview her about her husband, how they came to be, or married. She also believed in the institution of marriage. No matter what, you have to save the marriage, she'd say. She never spoke about whatever troubles she may have had allegedly undergone in the marriage. Everything was always hush-hush when it came to her family life. Nutan had announced that she wouldn't be working after marriage, but fortunately for us, her husband made her change her mind. She loved her son, Monish, dearly. She was protective and worried about him in his career. And though people tried to talk badly about the husband, I think he was very protective of her and really loved her, because he also said she had two passions in life, which was her film career and her family. Those things she did not play about, and he said he would have never asked her to quit her career to just be a housewife. So he encouraged her to, hey, go do what you love and stuff. But he also put his foot down, because there was times when she was tired, because she was working a lot. These Bollywood actresses they're very hardworking. They drop movies water. And so people would call her even on her birthday, director, not to just wish her a happy birthday, but for work. And so he would pick up and be like, hey, she at least deserves some sleep during her birthday, So he was just somebody who was watching over her and kind of like that firm foot. But people would misread that as her son would later correct, and she herself would defend, and just didn't like when people would paint him out to be a bad guy. She goes into the scandal with her mom. There were rumors alleging that Nutan went through immense personal turmoil with her own mother. One reason being her taking her mother to court for allegedly mismanaging her funds, when she was first getting into the business. She said, and I quote, "It was a very hard decision for me to take. Yes, I had expected the reaction. How can a daughter take her mother to the court? But that didn't make the conflict any easier to bear. Yet I had to do it to protect the future of everyone concerned," Nutan reportedly said in an interview with her friend. Her mother was quoted as saying, "I could read Nutan like a book. All this changed once she got married. We grew distant, and then came the incident which severed our relationship for 20 years long, which is the court." So her mom did blame her husband for that. But again, you got to remember, this was the same mom who allowed people to call her ugly to her face and sent her away because she lost too much weight and stuff like that. So I don't know. Take that with what you may, who you think is a villain. The reunion after the case resolved in 1983 came as a huge relief for the family. Both parties had undergone immense emotional trauma, but there was only love and affection for each other. In 1990, Nutan, one of the most celebrated actresses of Indian cinema, was diagnosed with breast cancer, and despite her diagnosis, she continued to shine in her own unique way, just as she had always done on the silver screen. In February 1991, Nutan's health took a turn for the worse, and she was admitted to Breach Candy Hospital in Mumbai. And on February 21st, 1991, at 12:07 p.m., Nutan breathed her last. She was only 54 years old when she passed, which is so young. 20 years after her untimely demise, the government of India honored Nutan by releasing a postage stamp bearing her image in February 2011. Then in 2017, on what would have been her 81st birthday, Google paid tribute to this phenomenal actress with a doodle. Nutan was known for her ability to bring characters to life on screen with her natural acting style. She was never afraid to take on unconventional roles, which often broke new ground in Indian cinema. Filmfare magazine once described her face as camera-friendly, saying there wasn't a single angle from which she didn't look perfect. In 2022, Outlook India included Nutan in its list of the 75 best Bollywood actresses, and Times of India featured her in their 50 Beautiful Faces list. Nutan's son gave an interview with Filmfare, sharing his fond memories of his mother. He said, and I quote, "My earliest memory of her is of her playing an animal game with me. For instance, she'd say bear and then come and give me a bear hug, or startle me pretending to be a lizard." He described Nutan as a hands-on mother and a down-to-earth person. Even though acting was her profession, she enjoyed being a regular housewife. She would attend his school functions and cheer him on from the stands when he swam. He added, "A complete mama's boy. I'd miss her terribly when she went outdoors." He remembered how Nutan loved spending time at their bungalow in Mumbai and how he would always tag along with her. He also shared some of the family's vacation memories, which often included hunting trips with his father and his friends. Towards the later part of her life, Nutan became deeply spiritual and even wrote bhajans, and forgive me if I mispronounced that, which are devotional songs. Her son recalled how her palms often smelled of sandalwood and how she introduced him to the Bhagavad Gita when he was 16. When she was diagnosed with cancer, her attitude was hopeful, he said, saying something good will come out of this too. End quote. He also challenged the notion that Nutan was a sad person, saying, "I never saw her unhappy. A person like her could never be unhappy. It's people's interpretation of her and of their interaction with her. I saw a person who was full of life, who minded her own business." End quote. He defended his father, who had often been misunderstood, stating he was a straight-talking person. He fought in World War II. He wasn't a drunkard. He didn't womanize. And he just was about business and about his family. And my mom loved that about him. My mom respected that, end quote. His father did end up passing away in a house fire, and his heartfelt tribute paints a vivid picture of Nutan as not just a great actress, but also a loving mother, a spiritual soul, and woman of strength and resilience. And he has nothing but positive things to say about his mother till this day and his father. And I really think the media, based off her grandmother, who was, like I said, royalty, a director, you know, handling business. She was a boss. Her mother was a boss. So she probably planted her own little stories about the dad, but I don't know. He definitely defended his father, and I really think he was just looking out for Nutan's best interests. But leave some flower emojis in the comments for her, and I hope she died knowing just how beautiful and gorgeous she was, and, you know, eventually prove to herself and not these people just how beautiful she was. If you like the music you're listening to, the link is in the description. Support my brother. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in, and check out my Bollywood playlist, also my Kajol video, which is pinned in the comments. Until next time.